President Joe Biden says he stands squarely behind his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan. In an address from the White House, Biden blamed Afghan political leaders and their army for the Taliban's takeover. President Joe Biden has defended his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan despite the Taliban's swift takeover of the country. He threatened a devastating military response if the Taliban launch attacks. Biden said the United States troops should not die in a war the Afghan forces are not willing to fight. Meanwhile, the State Department said the Taliban's behavior will determine whether the United States will recognize the new administration in Kabul. During a press briefing, spokesperson Ned Price said the United States will work with a government that upholds human rights and does not harbor terrorists. Meanwhile, Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby has dismissed criticism that the United States could not foresee the takeover. But he said Washington did not anticipate the degree to which Afghan forces capitulated. Meanwhile, military flights evacuating diplomats and civilians from Kabul Airport has restarted. This comes a day after at least 7 people were killed amid the panic. For more on this, we are joined by Mr. Hamdullah Hamdard, a political analyst speaking to us from Afghanistan. Thank you so much for your time. Now, Mr. Hamdullah, the United States President Joe Biden, in his speech, held the Afghan government for everything wrong in the country and the situation right now. Is it justified for Washington to exonerate itself completely from any responsibility regarding what unfolded in Afghanistan over the past 2 decades?
Well, as an Afghan, I'd like to say that the U.S. cannot take out themselves of this responsibility in Afghanistan for the last 2 decades. Whatever they have done in Afghanistan, they have killed so many people in Afghanistan, and now they are leaving Afghanistan irresponsibly. This is not fair at all, according to all the international rules and regulations. They did not do good to the people of Afghanistan. They killed a lot of people. They destroyed Afghanistan. They used lots of bombs in Afghanistan. And now they say they are not responsible for the lives of the people. They did not come here for the nation building. They just came here to kill Al-Qaeda leader and to finish any threats to the U.S. in Afghanistan. This is not fair at all. They should have worked for the nation building. They should have worked for ensuring or bringing a strong central government in the country, and then they could leave easily. They could surrender the government either to Taliban or any other political parties very responsibly, and then they could leave. But unfortunately, they did not do that. Last night, Mr. Biden talked very irresponsibly, and he said that he is squarely supporting his decision and he will not regret it. But we, the people of Afghanistan, regret his decision. We regret their coming to Afghanistan. We regret their being in Afghanistan. And we also say shame on them for leaving Afghanistan so irresponsibly in a chaos and turmoil. However, the situation in Afghanistan will get better soon. People are trying to cooperate with the Islamic Emirate to finish these chaos and the looting which was done in Kabul for the last 2 days. Everything is going to get better soon, but economically, the Afghan government needs support. The international community should not leave Afghanistan alone. There are so many people. Afghans' lives matter, and the international community has to pay serious attention to that. Otherwise, they will lose Afghanistan, and the people of Afghanistan will be lost, and people of Afghanistan will have no reason to live.
All right. Now, Mr. Hamdard, President Biden clearly accused President Ashraf Ghani of massive corruption in aid money given by the international community, especially the United States. How would Mr. Ghani be held accountable for these crimes?
Well, I guess that the U.S. and the international community themselves fostered corruption in Afghanistan. Whenever the USACE was giving contracts to the construction companies and to other contractors, they fostered corruption during that times. And through the first day of the U.S. and international community's arrival in Afghanistan, the corruption continued and started in all the departments, in all the organizations of the international organizations or the government organizations. It was not only Dr. Ghani's administration, even during Dr. Hamid Karzai's administration, and in all international organizations or NGOs that were working in Afghanistan, the corruption was a very common thing. International community should be asked for this as well, not only Dr. Ghani, and all the high official of the government or non-government people who were running the NGOs in Afghanistan, especially the ones who were giving contracts for receiving so many illegal dollars. They all have to be kept responsible for this, and they should be asked for that.
All right, now, Mr. Hamdard, we're already witnessing certain global players warming up to a possible Taliban government in Afghanistan. Short of elections, what do you believe would be the key factors that could lead to international recognition and the legitimization of a Taliban rule?
Well, if Taliban want to be recognized globally, I believe that they should not stop women from working or going to schools. There should be girls and boys education, the university, the schools, and everything should continue. The media should work very independently like it did during the regime of Dr. Ghani and the government of President Hamid Karzai. The work should continue normally. They should not force people to stop working there. Unfortunately, I saw in some of the provinces that they even destroyed the barber shops pictures in which there were some haircut designs or some Western haircut designs, which is not fair. By doing such acts, they will lose their credibility globally. If they want to be credible or recognized by global community or international community, they have to get used to the normal government. They should become a little bit more democratic. Otherwise, people will not accept them. International community will not accept them. They cannot force the Afghan women to stay at home and not to work. They should let women work, and they should cooperate with them. And that's in the favor of everyone. In the favor of Taliban, in the favor of the people, and in the favor of international community. Otherwise, those educated women and girls will have to flee the country as soon as they find any single opportunity for that.
Right. Now, Mr. Hamdard, what is the latest situation at the Kabul airport? Have the international forces taken any arrangements to secure the airport?
The situation of the Kabul airport was at its worst. In the history of Afghanistan, we had never seen such a worse situation at the Kabul airport. The people were fleeing, and there was the military airplane of U.S. forces in which some Afghans, some youths were taken out of Afghanistan. According to my information in the reports I received, they were taken to Tajikistan until the next steps will be taken by the U.S. To transfer them or to carry them either to the US or to Canada or somewhere else. But I guess at the moment they are in Tajikistan. They were taken to Tajikistan, and even some young Afghans who could not find place inside that airplane, they held themselves outside of the airplane, and they were just, they lost their lives when the airplane was taking off. And that was so sad to see that scenario. The international community does not value the lives of Afghans. They left Afghans in chaos. They brought, they were supporting the governments, which were led only by the Afghan Americans. They brought the ministers here who were the Afghan Americans. All the corruption made in Afghanistan was made by the Afghan Americans. Those money was taken back to the U.S. So it means the U.S. government and the U.S. is also responsible for all the corruption in Afghanistan. And they have to be asked for this by the United Nations, by the United Nations Security Council, and by all other countries who can make the U.S. responsible, or who can ask them for this responsibility.
All right. Mr. Hamdullah Hamdard, thank you so much for speaking to Indus News.